Guys, so it's Saturday and I'm staying home today because it's a beautiful sunny day but very cold out. So I have some slices of tomato here and they were already starting to get a little funky in the fridge. So what I'm going to try to do, and I did this last year and had great results, this was a really nice meaty store-bought tomato. And what I'm going to do is just stick these slices in here. Yep, it's time to start the indoor gardening. So that's what I'm going to do with that and try and start some nice tomato plants. I'll put these by my sliding doors where they get a lot of light and see if I can't recreate what I did last year. So that's project one. Then I had some white potatoes, and they were starting, they hadn't sprouted yet, but they were starting to get a little soft. So I steamed those, and I'll be making some potato salad and cubing some of them up and having some breakfast potatoes. And then I had some sweet potatoes that were starting to go hard. Now sweet potatoes, they get hard when they dry up, as opposed to regular potatoes, which get mushy. So I had these, I'm going to mash them up, peel them, mash them up, and I'm out of dog treats, so that's not a good thing. So I'm going to make some dog treats using these sweet potatoes, and some of them I will mash up and I will eat. And so that's what I've got going on. And then I want to make a batch of kombucha, which I've let go for too long. So I'll be doing that today too, and just entertaining myself on my low spend month. So far so good, and I'm going to keep going. So, and then I'm kind of sad about this, but my little cabbage is starting to dry up. I'm going to stick a couple of these little guys in with the tomatoes and see if they won't take root. And some of this is already starting to dry up, but I'm going to just put that in with a smoothie or something, and for a little green, because it's already dry. So, but yeah, my cabbage is not happy anymore. So I'm going to eat him up and try and grow a couple of these. So that's what I'm doing to entertain myself. And I'll be back later and show you what I came up with. Again, all right, here's what I have going. I cubed these up, put some red onion in there that I had in the refrigerator, covered them with some oil, put some garlic salt on, some of this breakfast blend that I bought last summer. I'm going to just shake this up, put it in the fridge, and then make breakfast potatoes out of this. So this is enough for me for 2 meals. And I don't have any eggs, but I do have some tofu, so I'll make a tofu scramble with it. Here I took the rest of the white potatoes, and I'm going to make a potato salad out of this part. Cubed up the potatoes. I have some pepper, some garlic salt, some dill pickle relish. Back here I have some red onion, more of the same red onion that I want to use up. I have some vegan mayonnaise, use whatever you want, and just some yellow mustard, and then I put some lemon juice on it. I'm going to mix this up, so this will be enough for another 2 to 3 meals. It's not a huge bowl, but at least 2 meals. And here I have mashed up sweet potatoes, all those sweet potatoes that I steamed. And I don't know yet what I'm going to make out of this. I have some recipes for vegan cheeses that use sweet potatoes. I can make a sweet potato casserole out of it, or I can make a sweet potato and black bean soup, which sounds really good. So that's what I'll be making out of that. And that is enough for 2 or 3 meals as well, depending on what I make out of it. So over here, I said I was out of dog biscuits. So I had some peanut butter that I got from the Dollar Tree, and I finished using that up. And be very careful with your peanut butter and dog biscuits. Make sure there's no xylitol in it. It's very toxic to dogs. So I read the ingredients in mine, and it was all good. I put a little bit of turmeric in there because that's also good for dogs, for their joints. And sweet potato. So this is about a half a cup of peanut butter, and this is smooth. If you have chunky, use chunky. 1 cup of sweet potatoes, about half a teaspoon of the turmeric, and about 1.5 cups of just quick oats. So I'm going to, now you don't have to bake this. You can shape them. If you have little silicone molds, you can bake, you can stick them in the freezer and use them as treats that way. But I want to make a harder dog biscuits out of this, so I'm going to bake it, or I might even dehydrate it. I'm not sure yet what I'm going to do. But what I wanted to talk a little bit about is just reusing your food and maybe keeping some staples on hand, like sweet potatoes, peanut butter, oats, regular potatoes. Some of these things can be used, like I said, to make like a vegan cheese sauce. And even if you aren't plant-based, keeping some of these ingredients on hand for those times where you don't have the money to go out and grocery shop, you can reinvent some foods. And there's a ton of vegetarian and vegan dishes out there that utilize a lot of foods that you might not think about. So in the hard times, you know, maybe that would be a good thing to go and look up. But be creative with your meals. You know, try and use up what you have. Like I had all these potatoes. I knew they were going to go bad, so I cooked them. You can do the same thing if you have meat. Cook it up and then make several meals out of it. Whatever you want to do. And these dog treats are much healthier than the ones that I usually just buy. So, and I had things on hand that I've had in the cupboard and in the pantry. And I know my dogs will love these. All right, I'll be back later and show you how they turned out. Hi again. So I'm going to make some cashew cheese. In here I actually had some roasted salted cashews that I blended up in the blender. And in here I have a couple tablespoons of nutritional yeast. I put in some garlic salt, some onion powder, water, enough, just enough, maybe a quarter of a cup. It depends on how many cashews you have. I had about a quarter of a cup of cashews and probably about a quarter cup of water. So I blended this all up in here. You can put whatever spices you want in here. Now this is supposed to be a sliceable cashew cheese because I'm running out of vegan cheese. And if you have a milk allergy, you might want to think about making this really simple. You might want to think about making your own cheese. And this is again one of those things where if you have the right ingredients in your home, you can come up with a tasty cheese. And then you can slice it, put it on a sandwich, eat it on cheese and crackers, whatever. Now I don't know how meltable this is. This is the first time I'm making this. So we'll see how it turns out. And then I have these little silicone molds. I have 2 of them because I'm thinking one of them isn't quite enough. So I have 2 of those. And in here I have 1 cup of filtered water, whatever water you have. And this recipe, you can either use 1 tablespoon and 1 teaspoon of Agar flakes, and those are available at any Asian market, or you can get them online at Amazon. I get them both. I get it at both places. Same is true of the nutritional yeast. You don't have to have nutritional yeast, but it gives it a nice flavor. And this is the cookbook that I'm using the recipe out of, Yum Universe, and it's by Heather Crosby. So, like I said, I've never made this cheese before, and the recipe calls for 1 cup water. Now, if you're going to use a different mold than the silicone, you want to grease it with a little oil so it releases when it's hardened, because this is going to go in the fridge. Then it says 1 tablespoon and 1 teaspoon of Agar flakes, or you can use 1 3/4 teaspoons of Agar powder. Now, if you're going to buy the Agar, I would recommend buying the powder. You use less of it. But before I got into the vegan cooking, at one point I bought the flakes. So today I'm using the flakes in here, and it calls for 2 teaspoons of nutritional yeast, more or less depending on how much you like nutritional yeast, or like I said, if you don't like the flavor of it, leave it out. 1 1/4 teaspoon of lemon juice, 1 teaspoon sea salt. Now, I used salted roasted cashews, and you know, and this is and then it says 1/4 teaspoon of liquid smoke. So if you're using raw cashews, you probably want to soak them to soften them up. They're easier to blend. So anyway, I'm going to give this a go, and I'll see how it works out. And it says to chill it for at least 4 hours in the refrigerator once it's done. So I'm going to go ahead and start cooking this. And the Agar flakes are already in there. So this cookbook has a lot of nice choices of vegan food, and you want to stir the Agar consistently. You don't want to walk away from it because it's going to get really thick. And once that happens, I'm going to pour this into it. Now, because these cashews were already roasted and salted, salt it to taste. With me adding this extra cup of water, it's going to make it just the right the right saltiness. And you can add herbs to this. You can add whatever you want. So, and I did not put any liquid smoke in here. I think I'm going to leave it out this time, but if I like this cheese, I'm going to make another batch of it. But sometimes this is a good way to use up those nuts that are at the bottom of the can or the tin, and you know, use them up. So I either do that, I either put them on top of a salad along with the salt, or I'm doing it this way. But, you know, be mindful of the salt. You don't want too much salt. But cheese is salty, right? So this is going to thicken up, and I'll be back in a little bit after it thickens up, because this is going to take about 4 minutes, and I'm sure you don't want to sit there and watch me stir a pot. All right, I'll be back. Okay, so this has been cooking about 4 minutes, a little longer. I'm going to add the cashews. I'm sure you get everything in there. And Agar is like the vegetarian vegan version of gelatin, because gelatin is made from animal products. So, but yeah, I don't know about using Jello or gelatin in yours if you're plant-based, or yeah, if you're not able to eat dairy. But I'm going to cook this another minute or two, and then let's see if it thickens up, and I'm going to put it in the molds. It's still pretty thin, but definitely get the Agar powder as opposed to the flakes. I think it makes for a nicer product. But we'll see how this turns out. I just want to heat this up a little bit, because this just came out of the fridge, so I want to thicken this up a little. And it's starting to thicken up now. So I'll be back when this is done and we can pour it into the molds. Let's see, it's getting nice and thick now. So I'm just going to cook this another minute or two on low. I don't want to burn this. So I'll be back in a minute and we'll put it in the molds. Alright friends, I'm going to put this in one mold first. I think it might all fit in one mold, but we'll see. So this is nice and thick now. I don't know if you can see that. But you want to get it into the mold because as it cools, it's going to firm up. Yeah, this is enough for one mold. I don't need two. And you can do this in a circular mold too if you want to do more like a wedge kind of cut on it. So I've got my dog biscuits in the, I actually have it in my air fryer, which is also an oven, and I have it baking at 250 for about an hour, and then I'm going to see if they're firm, because I want to make it like a harder dog biscuit. I don't want it too soft. So anyway, that is that. I don't know if you can see that. Sorry about the jiggling here. But this is what it looks like, and I'm going to spread it into the mold. And it tastes really good. It has a really good flavor. And it's nice and salty and cheesy from the nutritional yeast and the salted nuts. I didn't know if this would work with roasted cashews, but it seems to have worked fine. You know, it is a little darker because the roasted cashews have a little bit darker color than the raw cashews. But there's a lot of times where I have little bits and pieces of roasted cashews left over, and so then you can put those in the freezer until you get enough to get cheese out of it. So okay, I'm going to hit this on here a couple times to get the air bubbles out, and that's pretty smooth. So I'm going to put this in the refrigerator now. It's already starting to firm up, and I'm going to put it in the fridge for at least 4 hours. So I'll be back later, guys. Oh, before I go, I wanted to tell you, if you keep things like nuts, you can make nut milks, you can make oat milks. That way, if you run out of milk, you'll still have milk. And nutritional yeast makes a great topping for popcorn or making nut milk cheeses. And these nut milk cheeses are so expensive if you buy them in the store. My favorite one, when I do buy it in the store, is Follow Your Heart. It melts really well. They have a lot of nice flavors. I like the smoked Gouda and the American the best, but they have other flavors too, but those are the two I usually buy. And like I said, if you make this, you can always add herbs or onions, or, you know, I mean, the sky's the limit. So let me know if you give this a try and how you like it. And I'll be back in a little bit. Okay, I'm back. So here are the dog biscuits. They turned out great. Now I did bake these at 250 for 2 hours because I wanted them nice and hard, and they're great. But you don't even need to bake these at all. You can put them in an ice cube tray, stick them in the freezer, and just serve them to your dogs that way. But I like to give my dogs a biscuit for breakfast in the morning, and they'll like these. So this is how they turned out, nice and hard. So now I have some dog treats. This is the cheese that I made, and it slices nicely. I'm sorry you can't see that. Let me back this up a little bit. So it slices nicely. It's only been a couple of hours, so I'm going to stick it back in the fridge, but you can see that it slices. This is not the best plate for this. So that's what it looks like. Nice and creamy. Be great on crackers. So that was a winner. And this is what's for dinner. I found a sausage, a vegan sausage in there. I don't know if I made it or bought it. I have no idea. But anyway, here's the potato salad I made from the potatoes. And I used up my second bag of bagged lettuce, so I didn't waste that. And then these are the croutons I made the other day. So that's my dinner. All right, I'll be back in a little bit. So, my dog biscuits are baking. My cheese is in the fridge, so I was out of dog biscuits. I made my own. I was out of cheese. I made my own. You can make dairy cheese too. I don't have any recipes for that because I don't make that, but you know, if you ever are out, if you keep the ingredients, of course, dairy doesn't last as long as nuts and things like that, but it's possible. And I have my potatoes all cooked, all prepped. I made potato salad. I have a little bit of sweet potatoes left for me to make something. I didn't season them because I'm not sure exactly what I want to make out of them. I have some tortilla chips that I might want to use up, or I have some corn and flour tortillas, so I may make some nachos. And if that's the case, I know there's recipes out there for a vegetarian cheese sauce, so I might use the sweet potatoes for that. I'm not sure yet. And so it's been a productive day, and I haven't spent any money, and that's always a good thing. So we're in the middle of February, and so far so good. All I've bought was the produce at the beginning of the month, and other than that, I've been cooking from my pantry, my freezer, and I'm actually starting to see a little dent in the food in my freezer, and I'm very, very happy about that, because that just tells me I'm using the money that I bought for food, and I'm using it up. So that makes me very, very happy. And I just wanted to say too, what did I want to say? Well, I lost my way. Anyway, so I got some friend mail, and this is so cute. This is from Patti over at Life with Patti. If you haven't checked out her channel, go check her out. I love Patti. We've been on this YouTube trip together since the beginning. We were one of the first subscribers each one had. So she's doing real well with her channel. But she sent me this really, really cute little card. And it's right up my alley because it's got a little teacup dog. And I don't know if you can see, but these are little shiny red hearts. So I'm keeping that on my mantle because I love the picture. And she sent a real nice note with it, wishing me a very happy Valentine's, and she's glad to have me as a friend. And I'm very, very glad to have her as a friend as well. I'll leave the link to her channel below. So I just wanted to come on and try and, if you're running low on food, try and at least keep your pantry stocked with staples. because that way you can always make something. You know, you don't have to rely on running to the store constantly, and you become a little bit more self-reliable. You have more confidence, and anybody can learn to cook. It's not rocket science. You know, even if it's a simple recipe. And speaking of recipes, I don't think I can leave the cheese recipe down below because it's not exactly my recipe. I did tweak it, so I'll put my tweaked version in. That way I'm not, you know, stepping on anybody's copyright toes. So, what else? That's it for now. I mean, I'm planning on, I've been putting on music and dancing and trying to move more. I can feel springs in the air. I mean, I know it's only the middle of February, but you know, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. So I'm looking forward to that because I do want to start moving more and walking and dancing. And if you're not in a good place, try putting on some music, you know, some upbeat music, you know, not a crying in your beer music. That wouldn't be helpful. But sometimes even that, you need to work your way through an issue and slowly come out of it. But try putting on some upbeat music and moving around. And I've always loved to dance. Back in the 70s, late 70s, early 80s. Oh my gosh, you know, I was like, could have been the dancing queen out there on the floor because I just loved to go to the disco. And I went out dancing at least once a week, if not twice a week. And I danced the whole night. I was never a big bar person, but they had a couple discos around here, and I just loved it. I was very sad when disco left. But anyway, I can have a disco in my home, and actually Tom bought me a disco ball a few years ago. It's in the basement, but you know, you can even get those disco light bulbs that you can put on a table, put on some disco music, and it doesn't matter if you're by yourself. You know, dance like nobody's watching. Have a good time. All right, well, I'm going to post these recipes, and I'm going to show you what my cheese looks like. I'll leave a picture of that and the dog biscuits. They'll be done in a little bit, and my puppies will be happy, and I bet your puppies would be happy too. And this recipe, you know, you can use whatever. You don't have to use sweet potatoes. You can use pureed pumpkin. You can use mashed bananas. If you have a lot of carrots, now my dogs love raw carrots. I give them those all the time. But if you have a lot and they're starting to go bad, cook your carrots, mash them up. You can add a regular potato with it. You can put that in. If you have apples that are going a little mushy, you can put, you know, you can put those in there instead of the other pumpkin or whatever. You just don't want to add sugar and things for dogs. And like I said, with the peanut butter, be very, very careful that there's no xylitol in it, because some companies are adding that. And especially since dogs like peanut butter, and I know a lot of people give their dogs peanut butter, you want to really be mindful of that. And what else? I think that's it for now. All right, my friends, I'm so happy to have spent some time with you. I always enjoy that. Thank you for coming back. Please leave a comment. If you like this content, leave me a thumbs up, and please subscribe. That would make me very happy. And the more we interact, the more my channel can grow, the more content I can do, because I love to visit with you guys. All right, my friends, that's really now all I have for you today. I love you guys. I wish you abundant blessings, and I'll see you next time. Oh, that was a loud one.